Hey there, it's Hugh Foster on the bass here with another quick lick video. This one's called Stretch Out, and because I apparently can't resist wordplay these days, don't know whether it's because I'm a dad, it has a double meaning. You know, you're stretching out your fretting hand on the fretboard, but also musically, application of theory, a little bit of a workout there as well. So, yeah. Coming up with names for things is hard. Anyway, a bit of context about this one. I have decided to play this on my 5-string fretless Schecter Stiletto. You don't have to play this one on a fretless or on a 5-string. It's completely optional. But clearly been listening to a lot of Jaco lately, Jaco Pastorius that is. And yeah, this kind of just came out of a little noodle on this bass. By the way, this wasn't originally fretless. Varco Guitars in South London did an amazing job at converting it. So let's start to break this one down. Very quickly, just a note on the harmony in this one and the key. We're in the key of F sharp minor, but there are some chords which don't belong to that key. At the end of bar 2, going into the third bar, we've got a passing chord, a C dominant chord, a C13, and that just gets us in a sort of chromatic movement down to that B9, another dominant chord. And again, that chord wouldn't typically belong in F sharp minor. You could even call it modal interchange for that bar. You could say that we're in the key of F sharp Dorian. What does that sound like? So F sharp minor. You know, most of this will fit that scale, but F sharp Dorian, the one that would fit the third bar, it's got that raised 6th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. D sharp. And then for the last bar, we're back in F sharp minor. It's a B minor 9. But then we've got another very crunchy chord at the end, a G major 9 with a sharp 11. You will have heard this kind of chord before. So what's a good way of playing it? It's kind of got that Lydian sound. But yeah, if that doesn't really make sense, do let me know in the comments and I'll try to expand on that further. It's essentially that 4-bar loop. And what we're doing here is, taking a sort of rhythmic phrase and applying it to each chord and, adding some licks to this, okay? The first 3 bars are going to be pretty straightforward. And then in that 4th bar, we've got one of the lines that we're playing which are a little more tricky and it's got a bit more jumping around. This is where the whole stretching out thing really comes into play. But let's just hear the first 4 bars a little bit slower. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's just do those 4 bars again and then I'll zoom in on that lick at the end. We'll do that lick at the end because it's just where we've landed. So it's that B minor 9 to G major 9, sharp 11. What we're not going to outline that actual sharp 11 in the chord because it's quite sort of quite a spicy one, and in the lower register of the bass, that kind of thing just sounds a little bit muddy. But we are going to play some pretty interesting stuff. So to begin with, not too bad. Root 5th octave. I use this kind of thing a lot. And it's very common on bass to just have that as an arpeggio in the lower register instead of going, root 3rd, 5th, because it just sounds cleaner, right? And then up on the top, we're going to do the some interplay between the 2nd and the 3rd, right? And that does sound really nice on a fretless, doesn't it? And then back down, the root, the flat 7, and then the fifth. So far, not too bad. It's the speed that's the issue. That's all 16th notes, and then this bit, 32nd notes, you know, so it's going to be fast. And then this bit here, the reason why I've decided to do this exact bit of madness is actually, well, it's less awkward than going, so what we are playing is G, the root of the chord to the G major 9, and then F sharp, but we're playing it here. So hence the stretching title. And actually at speed, that is a little less awkward than the other option, which could be to do the much closer sort of box kind of approach. Right? But doing this, the only jump is at the very end. So you do need to practice landing on that low G. And it just really gets you stretching out your fretting hand. And yeah, it's you do end up playing some more interesting things when you do play, you know, intervals like that. This is the closest interval you can play, but the sort of splitting it by the strings like this, yeah, it's really interesting. You know, you do end up with some... it just sounds cool, I think. You know, if you were to... you can end up with some really fun sounding stuff. And I think it is, you know, it's the kind of thing that you would spot Jacko doing. And gets you thinking outside of the box, literally. And now just moving on to the final 4 bars. This is where it gets a bit more busy. So we've established a sort of bass line in the first half, and then in this second half, we're going to take it on a journey from about halfway through bar 5 into bar 6, and then into bar 7 is when it gets really sort of like spicy. All right. First of all, let's hear it slow down, and then we'll break down the sort of component parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, 3, 4. So in bar 5, we're really outlining the F sharp minor 7, actually adding a 9 on top as well. After this point, which has been established already in the first bar, that's going up the scale. So G sharp, A, C sharp, the 5th of the chord, and then the root and the 9. And then going into the D major 9, we've got a little A as a sort of passing note. You could play that as an open A, but I've tried to make this particular exercise, and I do try to as much as possible, try to make all of my exercises, you know, transposable. And so over the D major 9, we're using a scale which we have used before in a few of my videos. I like to call it the Stevie Wonder Blues scale. You know, the one that's in Sir Duke. And a few other of his tunes, but yeah, most notably in that one. So it's almost that phrase. So we're going 5th to the root of the D major, A to D, and then we're going 2nd, minor 3rd, major 3rd, E, F, F sharp, and then 5th again up here to the 6th. So that's A to B, and then to the D. Nice kind of like scale that fits under the fingers if you shift here, right? And then another shift into a double stop, which, yeah, is really fun to do. So what's going on there is we're going from D, up chromatic, D sharp, to the E, to anticipate the C13 chord, because then what happens there is we're outlining the major third and the flat 7 of a C dominant chord. So that's E and B flat at the very end of bar 6. And then moving the whole thing without replucking it. So a slurred slide there into the major third and flat 7 of a B dominant chord. So yeah, not actually playing a root note there, but it's kind of implied already. And yeah, when you're up in that dusty end of the fretboard, this kind of thing can sound really, really cool. And then to just really establish that B dominant chord in bar 7, we've just got that nice little lick there, which is a pretty typical kind of thing to do over a dominant chord, to play the minor third into the major third, right? And then go root 7, something like that, you know, pretty typical. So yeah, nice fundamental language there. And then in the last bar, we're back on terra firma, just playing that lick from the first time around, which, you know, seems ridiculous to suggest that that is, you know, something a bit more secure, having done what we've just done and the stretches involved. It does kind of feel nice and comfortable after you've done it a few times. Okay, having broken down all the component parts, let's just give it one more go all the way through this time. 3, 4. I don't know about you, but I find myself overthinking when I slow things down. So in some ways that is tougher than actually getting it, you know, closer to the original speed. But I do suggest with the more technical, more tricky parts of this, do slow them down, especially if you are deciding to do it on hard mode like I am and use a fretless, let alone a fretless with normal size frets. This has got jumbo frets, so it's actually even more of a stretch between, you know, those two there. But, you know, what is life without a few challenges, you know? Anyway, that just about covers things from me today. Hope you enjoyed this one. And as always, do let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. And if you've made it this far, then thank you. And don't forget that if you want the backing track, the transcription, and some extras for this one and all my other original tutorial videos, that will be available on my Patreon. That's patreon.com/Hugh Foster. And if you are a member of the Pentatonic Patreon tier and above, you get a shout out at the end of these videos. So thank you to the following supporters: Cesar Baron, James Stewart, Pal Moffey, Willie J. Shorter Jr., Richard Meadows, Lamont Golden, Aslan McCall, Mark Bocco, Robin Pearson, Russell Chell, Nick Parsons, Duncan Parkinson, Technobase, and this month's newest subscribers, thank you for joining, Dwayne Holmes, Michael Cousins, and Stefano Gambone. And sorry if I get any pronunciations wrong. Thank you for your support, guys, and thank you for watching this far. Do let me know how you get on with this one, and I'll see you guys next time.